When you and I were speaking just a minute ago, you found out about the maps this morning from a phone call from your staff. What did you think when you saw them?
Well, I thought from looking at these maps that Trump has chopped up Austin, chopped up Texas in ways that are only focused on how he maintains a stranglehold on Congress. I will have CD 37 that I represent today. About 2/3 of the people I represent today will remain in that district. But over 40% of Austin will have to look under this plan to San Angelo or Victoria or Waco as the place where they have a member of Congress. That means less accessibility, less accountability, less voice for them in what their representative is doing in Congress. I think all of this is about his stranglehold on Congress and how he maintains it. And if not stopped in Texas, it will spread to other states.
What do you know about the person or company that drew these maps?
I'm not familiar with the specifics. I just know that President Trump called over the Republicans in Congress today. They already have 24 of 38 seats. He took them and told them he wanted this map drawn to replace Democrats, and that's what he's done.
So our reading of this redistricting map, this proposed map, is that it would combine a lot of your district with Congressman Casar's. Given that, do you still plan to run for re-election next year?
Well, I think there are plenty of what-ifs. Yes, Republicans have gone after me through redistricting, and they failed before, and they will fail again. And I think it's not useful at the moment to talk about what-ifs to divide Democrats, but how we can stay together and prevent this plan from coming into full force and effect.
Have you spoken with Congressman Casar today?
I have, and we've spoken throughout this process, and I think we are united in doing all we can to prevent Trump from using redistricting as a way of really impeding the entire election process across the country this next year. If he can change the composition of Congress in this way, he maintains the ability to avoid any subpoenas, any accountability. He will have a Congress full of compliant Republicans, just as he has too much today.
So if I'm hearing you, just to circle back from my question before,
Sure.
You're saying that at this point it's too soon to say whether you'll run for the seat, Congressman Casar will run, or one of you may potentially move to go to another district and challenge someone else?
I think both of us are unwilling to answer the what-if questions because we think that the only what-if that counts is whether this plan is approved and gives Trump the kind of control that we're both committed to seeing he does not achieve.
This is something I know that's getting national attention now.
Sure.
Congressman Hakeem Jeffries is coming here to Austin, I believe tonight. What do you know about his visits and what he'll be doing tonight and tomorrow, presumably?
Well, I've spoken with Leader Jeffries. I expect to join him for a meeting tonight with the Texas legislators, discuss what alternatives they have to oppose this plan, and then with a press conference tomorrow. You know, they call this a hearing that they've been having, but clearly they haven't heard. The people that have come out in Austin, in Arlington, in Houston have been nearly unanimous, hundreds, indeed over 1,000 in Houston, saying they don't want this plan. And they consider the redistricting in these hearings without ever showing them Trump's map. So I think there is strong public opinion against this. No justification. It really isn't a state Republican plan. It's a plan that's been imposed on state Republicans who simply don't have the courage to stand up to Trump's demand.
Do you think that public pressure, that overwhelming public opposition that we've heard so far in these public hearings, is that going to move the needle at all? And if so, how much?
Well, it remains to be seen whether any of the Republican state legislators will listen to the people rather than just listening to Trump. But their presence and their engagement and their sending that message out is very important because even as these districts are redrawn for Republican purposes, there's still an opportunity for people to be engaged and to try to win some elections next year. So many people have said, you know, they want to see a change in the policies of Trump and what he's done in Washington, and this is their opportunity to participate now in saying no to this redistricting scheme and then getting engaged to ensure that we get good representation in Washington.
Congressman, you mentioned meeting with Leader Jeffries, also that press conference tomorrow.
Right.
What else are you doing on your end to try to stop this plan?
Well, engaging with people here in Austin to talk about the effect that it will have on them, but working with the state legislators, and then as this proceeds, to try to lend support to them in any extraordinary action that they take. They do have the possibility of taking action they wouldn't with a normal bill. This is an extraordinary action that Trump has taken. It probably calls for extraordinary action, and if they choose to break quorum at some point, it will be important to rally public support for them.
There's also been talk about Democrats in Congress possibly supporting these potential quorum breakers with campaign donations to cover the fines, things like that. Are you considering doing any of that, using your campaign donations?
That's certainly a possibility, but I think there are groups across the country that recognize the peril democracy is in if Trump can pull this off, that would hopefully back them in this effort. But we don't know how long this might take and how much support might be necessary, so I'm certainly willing to lend support if that becomes necessary.
And have you had conversations with colleagues in other states, blue states specifically, about possibly redrawing their maps if this plan in Texas goes
Yes,
through?
I have, and I think Democrats have to respond. You know, so many of the states that are currently controlled by Democrats have set up citizen commissions. They've tried to do this fairly without undue partisan gerrymandering, and some of those Republican states like Texas are doing just the opposite. So you have to kind of fight fire with fire, even though I'd like to see every state with a citizens commission and no gerrymandering occurring. And so I think particularly California, I'm encouraged by Governor Newsom's comments, by that of some of my colleagues out there, that they're prepared to make an exception to respond to this extreme partisan gerrymandering by doing something that would match a Republican loss in California with what happens here. That really points to why this shouldn't happen. Gerrymandering just encourages a split and for people to look only to those to their side rather than looking at how we can come together to solve the many problems our country faces.
Yeah, and I was going to ask too about the precedent that this sets. If Texas goes through and then if California or one of these other states responds, what does that mean for just redistricting going forward?
Well, I think it just creates big hurdles and a worse representation. And it's not just California responding. There's already been an indication that a fine member of our caucus from actually Texas-born who represented Kansas City as mayor and who's their member of Congress, that he would be split up the way they've split up Austin to try to get rid of me in the past. The same thing could happen in Indianapolis. The same thing can happen in a number of other states. So seeing this spread across the country is really an indication of the peril that we find our democracy in. When Trump told a group last year they wouldn't have to worry about voting again, maybe this is the kind of scheme that he had in mind, that he would redraw the lines so that for many people, their votes will not make much difference.
Congressman, we covered a little bit about what's next for you, but I always like to end the interview by asking what's next? Where do you go after this?
Well, where I go is continuing to do the job that I was elected to do right here in Travis County. I've been fortunate to do that, to have the confidence of my neighbors. I'll continue doing that and doing all I can to see that our democracy doesn't become an autocracy and that the Congress responds on the issues that people really care about. One of those, as the ranking member on the Health Subcommittee, is the problem of the bill that Trump just approved denying health care coverage and access to a physician for 16 or 17 million Americans. I have participated every year for the last dozen or so with Foundation Communities in helping people get signed up for Affordable Care Act health insurance policies. We expect the premiums may go up by as much as 75% because of this bill. So working to help get access to health care, really important. Fighting the Trump tariff taxes is another of those issues that will only spike the prices of most everything we pay. The breakfast I was at this morning at the time I got the call was with some Austin small businesses to talk about the impact of taxes on them and their customers. So there are plenty of issues that need attention and will be my focus going forward, not just what's happening in redistricting. With a Democratic House, impeachment is a possibility, but I think what President Trump fears is not so much impeachment since he has a Republican Senate, but accountability of any type. So we would have the power to subpoena officials from the administration, to probe corruption, to participate in the appropriations process. All of those are things that are not happening today because Trump has a totally compliant Republican Congress. He wants to keep it that way. I think that's a real danger for our democracy.